बुद्धाय नमः. Good morning, नमस्कार आप सभी को. Greetings to all of you. On behalf of International Buddhist Confederation, Ministry of Culture, Government of India, we extend our heartiest welcome to all the eminent personalities sitting here, dignitaries and guests who are present in this auditorium. देवी सज्जनों, ये ओकेजन बहुत स्पेशल है. ये अपनी तरह के 2 दिन के बोधिपथ फिल्म फेस्टिवल का इनॉग्रल सेशन है और इसके साथ ही ये 2 दिन का फेस्टिवल जो है स्टार्ट होगा. एंड इन दिस सेशन वी आर ऑनर्ड टू हैव विद अस द डायरेक्टर तिब्बत हाउस वेनरेबल गेशे दोरजी दामदुल एज आवर स्पेशल गेस्ट. थैंक यू वेरी मच फॉर ज्वाइनिंग अस सर. द एमिनेंट थिएटर पर्सनैलिटी एंड डायरेक्टर नेशनल स्कूल ऑफ ड्रामा मिस्टर चितरंजन त्रिपाठी इज हियर विद अस as guest of honor. Please put your hands together to welcome him. A very famous actor and known as Buddhist activist, Gagan Malik. He is here with us in this session. We welcome him on this occasion. आपको ये बताते हुए बहुत खुशी होती है कि उन्हें मिस्टर गगन मलिक को बेस्ट एक्टर अवार्ड भी मिला था वर्ल्ड बुद्धिस्ट फिल्म फेस्टिवल में. और श्रीलंका में एक फिल्म बनी थी, उस फिल्म का नाम श्री सिद्धार्थ गौतम, और उसमें सिद्धार्थ का यानी बुद्ध की भूमिका जो है उन्होंने निभाई थी. और इस तरह के और बहुत सारे रामायण जी पर उसमें राम की भूमिका भी इन्होंने निभाई थी. सो वी वेलकम ऑल ऑफ यू इन दिस इनॉग्रल सेशन एंड आई विल रिक्वेस्ट ऑल द डिग्निटीज अलॉन्ग विद IBC सेक्रेटरी जनरल शाटसे खानसुर चंगचोप चौधन रिनपोचे एंड DG IBC श्री अभिजीत हालदर जी टू कम ऑन स्टेज एंड ऑफर फ्लावर्स टू लॉर्ड बुद्धा. सभी से निवेदन है कि एक बार मंच पर आएँ और लॉर्ड बुद्धा को अपनी श्रद्धा पुष्पांजलि के रूप में अर्पित करें. और इस रूप में आज के इस इनॉग्रल सेशन की शुरुआत होगी. देवियों सज्जनों, भारत की इस भूमि ने विश्व को युद्ध नहीं बुद्ध दिया है. ऐसे बुद्ध जो करुणा के, दया के, मानवता के प्रतीक हैं और उन्हीं के प्रति नतमस्तक होते हुए सदैव इस तरह की शुरुआत हम करते हैं और आज भी हमने इसी रूप में की है. नाउ आई विल इनवाइट द सेक्रेटरी जनरल IBC शाटसे खानसुर चंगचोप चौधन रिनपोचे सर फॉर ऑफरिंग इन्वोकेशन एंड वेलकम रिमार्क्स. आवर सेक्रेटरी जनरल प्लीज.
नमस्तस्मै मुनीन्द्रदाय प्रतीत्योपाददेशिने येन नेन विधानेन निषिद्ध उदयवयो बीजं कृपायज्जी नशस्य राशे सतद्वृद्धये वारिसमाचिराय भोगाय पाकश्च यथैव मान्य मदो ममात करुणा प्रशंसा या सर्वज्ञतया नियत्युपश्चिमं शान्तेशिणा श्रावकान् या मार्गज्ञतया जगडीधत्कृतां लोकार्थसम्पादिका सर्वकारमिदं वदन्ति मुनयो विश्वं यया सङ्गता तस्मै श्रावाक बोधिसत्त्वगणिनो बुद्धस्य मात्रे नमः विधूतकल्पनाजालगम्भीरोदारमूर्तये नमः समन्तभद्राय समन्त स्फुरणत्विषे ये धर्मा हेतुप्रभाव हेतुं तेषां तथागतो हयवदता तेषां च यो निरोध एवं वादी महाश्रमण आकाश्य स्थितिर्ह्या वदावच्च जगता स्थिता तावन मम स्थितिर्भूया जगद दुःखानि निधन्ता अयं पुण्यज्ञानं च संचितं पुण्यज्ञानक्रियोद्भूतं द्वापतो तु परं तथा ओय चेवे चेजो तंबा लाना मे चुजे निमा गेवे चिलव दुदाय गिरि नेबे दाशी ने तादु पेने निते दाशी शो चुनी देमे जो लाना मे धामजु दुसी tembe jenaba nyomon dungen we dashi tadu pene nyinzen dashi sho gindu yunde rinje pembar gese penze dembe jenaba nyebe kunde gezo nambara tadu pene nyinzen dashi sho Sandang lang sume chen lava dang penze la yi da xie nengru. Gele samba yi shen rubat, tirin neme degi dembara yi sho. Nimon dele tendele, nime kunyan dele, ninzen dadu dele, bakunjo sumgi da shi sho. By paying homage to the great teacher of devas and humans, I first of all would like to welcome the guests of this special gathering here, the Bodhipath Film Festival. This event is going to continue for 2 days, today and tomorrow, and we have selected beautiful films or the movies for screening, and I'm sure all of you are going to enjoy it. And first, to welcome the guests, I have Most Venerable Geshe Dorji Ramdul, Director of Tibet House, as a special guest appearing in this gathering on the dais. We express hearty welcome to you from the organizer, the International Buddhist Confederation. Thank you for your precious time and valuable presence. I'm sure our audience will definitely learn a lot of things from your presence and your speeches that is going to come up. And then next, I would like to also welcome Mr. Chittaranjan Tripathi ji, Director, National School of Drama. I thank you very much for your valuable presence and sharing your time, precious time with us. And it is a pleasure to have you on the dais with all of us. And your presence really makes a huge difference for us as an organizer and all the viewers and the audience that is gathering here in this hall. And then finally, I would also like to welcome my friend, Mr. Gagan Malik, for being present in this special gathering. You know him quite well, more than myself. So I don't need to I think I don't need to present any kind of position and any kind of explanation about him. So thank you once again for your precious time and presence that you have allocated to us. Now, this welcome speech, I would also like to emphasize further that IBC has been involved in organizing film festivals that is particularly related to the Buddhism for many years. I do remember myself participating in a couple of film festivals that was organized by IBC in past, and this is a continuation of that kind of movement that we are doing. Now, talking about the film in a private level, my connection to the film, the most of it is as a viewer. I don't know about filmmaking. I don't know about the concept and all those things. But from a young child, I'd been involved as a kind of viewer, and mostly in the kind of lower category of the society. Film is a source of entertainment. But when you climb the ladder in the society, then gradually film ends up becoming a source of information. So that is what I've seen. And unfortunately, in my younger ages, I never looked up film as a powerful medium of diffusing the information. As we grow up and as we a kind of a horizon of experiences and knowledge widen, we come to understand that film is a very powerful medium of diffusing the ideologies and diffusing the information. And for that reason, I do believe very strongly that we are kind of putting up this film festival, the Bodhipath Film Festival. We have wonderfully kind of selected, scrutinized list of film. Those are coming up in these 2 days. But I'm very sure that there are beautiful films. Those are kind of not included. I hope in future we will have more varieties and more kind of newer versions of the films to be included in this kind of film festival. So with that, I would like to conclude here, and I express my deepest welcome to all of you gathering in this auditorium. Thank you very much for your presence. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. After the welcome remarks, let's felicitate our guests on the dais. I will request our Secretary General to felicitate the distinguished dignitaries on dais with Khatak and memento. And first of all, Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdul, Director Tibet House, will be presented a Khatak and memento with your big applause, ladies and gentlemen. आपकी करतल ध्वनि, आपकी तालियों के साथ अभिनंदन वंदन यहाँ Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdul, Director Tibet House. One memento is also there. Now I will request our Secretary General to felicitate our guest of honor, the Director of National School of Drama, Mr. Chittaranjan Tripathi. आपकी तालियों के साथ, करतल ध्वनि के साथ उनका भी बहुत बहुत स्वागत, अभिनंदन है इस अवसर पर. And now the Secretary General will felicitate Mr. Gagan Malik with the Kathak and memento. With a huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much, Vandan Abhinandan, aap sabhi atithiyon ka. Ladies and gentlemen, today in this inaugural session, we are honored to have Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdul, who is currently Director at Tibet House, as you already know. This is a cultural center of His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. He regularly gives lectures on different platforms about Buddhist philosophy, logic, and epistemology. He has written many papers and books also. Journey into the paradox of brain and mind and what contributes to the ultimate reality, the effects of understanding the ultimate reality are his two important creations. So I will request Venerable Geshe Dorji Damdul for his lecture, his address at this moment. Please.
Kange doza nyezone dawa tamje bambeshir doza bagodam dela chase no English translation. And used by great compassion, you taught the Meticulous Dharma to dispel the perverted views. To you, the Buddha Dhamma, I pay homage. Tony Jazundo Jubadam, Chijas as a kanji, then doing when Chana Boma, Tenzin Yazola, Suad the Shundul, and show with prostrations to His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the son of the world today. So, having said this as a supplication to all Buddhist Bodhisattvas, let me begin by first of all expressing my hearty congratulations to all the organizers, the Most Venerable Cancer Geshe Chanju Shendir Buche, and my very respected the Director General, Mr. Abhijit Haldarji, and the director of the Drama Society. It's very inspiring to see such personality here, and also the Shri Gaganji, who I'm seeing him for the first time, while I've been seeing the clips of him. I was so fascinated by this young, dynamic person who not only comes as the movie actor, but as somebody with a heart. They have confidence and the devotion, respect, value to the teachings of the Buddha, which I clearly sensed from his demeanor. So my hearty congratulations to you and everyone here, and all the most venerable monks and nuns, and all the ones in the audience. So I don't want to take it too long because that I've only about like 5 minutes. And what I would share with you is that the film festival, that's quite interesting. And the films, they depict two things. Say, from the commercial point of view, and how the films, what kind of films are more popular in a country, in a place, in the world, is determined by the level of thinking of the common people. And where the common people, which constitute the majority of the citizens, the population, the populace of the world, if their thinking is very high, the films will be very high level. Whereas if the common people think is very low, it's only about dance, song, and love stories and so forth, it's all depicted in the movies. So therefore, usually, generally speaking, where the concepts are very sophisticated, for example, like which Shri Gagan Maliji, he portrayed as a Buddha. So these are very sophisticated matters, and of course, the devotees of the Buddha will watch this with so much reverence, may not necessarily know the concepts, but these are the media. These are the medias which have a tremendous power to influence the public, and public also influence the industry. So what I would say is that films are an amazingly powerful tool, as indicated by Venerable Chanchu Sundar Rinpoche, said, let me relate something what happened at the time of the Buddha. And then we will see, yes, indeed, the films are a very powerful tool to bring about, to educate the people. So if you look at, for example, okay, is there somebody who is, the next slide? Okay, so if you look at this, although it is not too visible, it's fine. So if you look at this will take us back to 2,500 years ago. 2,500 years ago, at the time of the Buddha. What happened was that, we say, the people, the common people or educated people, whoever we are. So we drive on the basis of the information which we process. And to process information, we require the information. And information comes through 5 the bridges: visual, auditory, gustatory, olfactory, and tactility. And then sophisticated concepts built on the information that you get from these 5 senses. So the visual play a very important role, and the next is the audio. Visual and audio. In those days, at the time of the Buddha, only visual, not audio. Visual also not the films or not the movie, the photographs and so forth, only the paintings. So look at this painting. This painting was commissioned by the Buddha himself. Look, the Buddha used the visual as a tool to educate the people. But the story behind this was that the King Bimbisara, and who was gifted with a very precious gift of the jeweled armor by his friend, King Uttarayana. So after receiving the gift, very precious gift, he was so happy. The very next moment, he felt so demoralized for the reason that he does not have anything to repay, because he's from a smaller kingdom. He did not have anything worthy to be presented as the exchange gift. So he approached the Buddha, and the Buddha said, don't worry, send your best painter to me. Look how the Buddha used the visual. What we have today, visual plus audio. We don't have the gustatory, olfactory, and the tactility. We only have these 2 today, the movies. Only the visual and the auditory. So here, this painting was commissioned by the Buddha, that Buddha instructed this painting to be painted fully. So to educate the masses. So the films are exactly to educate the people. And what happened was that this information, look at this, it's just, you can just see this within a single second of a time. And yet you get the whole information. So King Udrega, when he received this gift, which King Bimbisara, with great sense of pride and joy, offered this to the king of the Uttarayana. King Uttarayana, receiving this gift, he was just wondering why this King Bimbisara put so much emphasis that this to be respected so much. It's just a piece of paper, a painting, what is it? Then what he did was he unfolded this, and he was just going through all this. What is this? It's just a painting. I gave him a whole armor, jeweled armor. And in return, I got this painting. What is this? And luckily, this was the visual. And there was the auditory meaning that he's extremely wise minister. That minister serves as the sound. And this visual was presented to him by King Bimbisara. Visual and the auditory combined together. Now the films, auditory and the visual, they're coming together. So convenient for us. So at the time of the Buddha, there's no such thing, the combination of the 2 things happening. So the wise minister, he explained everything. And the king Uttarayana, he got the whole information about how samsara comes into existence, how we suffer because of all our own actions, our own thinking, wrong thinking, how miseries ensue, and how they can be brought to an end. All this he learned, and then he asked, who is that person at the top, to the right side? Who is that guy? Then the minister said, don't say guy. he is the Tathagata. And who is he? Where is he? He said he's in the kingdom of Bimbisara. And what is he doing? And he's there giving discourses, sharing the wisdom to all the beings. Why he's there in King Bimbisara's kingdom, not in my place? So he said that if you want to invite him to your kingdom, you have to request King Bimbisara, because the Tathagata, the Buddha, is so close to King Bimbisara that he would be so happy. The Tathagata, the Buddha, would be so happy to listen to King Bimbisara's the request. So this is how King Bimbisara became extremely important for King Uttarayana. So this is the power of the visual. So what I'm saying is that finally, that common people, the films, movies, they play a very important role to educate them. And then the movies, generally speaking, serve in two matters. One, just entertainment. Even in the process of entertainment, how you absorb, what you register from this the piece of information, it is entirely up to the individual. And there's another class of the information that the movies are designed for, just purely for the education purpose, not for entertainment. So the point is that this is where the movie directors and the movie producers, they can play a very important role when they impart the information to the people. So the people become more matured. And look at 0.3 million years ago. 0.3 million years ago, the Homo sapien came on the planet Earth. And today, after 300,000 years later, today, we call ourselves as civilized. And comparing what is today and what was 0.3 million years ago, the difference only lies in amount of the information. Today, the information is so much, but unfortunately, information, many of them are extremely beautiful, the information, such as the wisdom, information to ignite your wisdom, and others, the information to ignite your compassion. And on the opposite side, information, just garbage, full of garbage. For example, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp. Not that these are garbage, but what they contain. There are so many garbages. What's the garbage? At the end of the day, people, they feel so tired, and they end up into fraud. They end up into being deceived, bullied, cybercrime. All these things happen because of the garbage part of the information. So the people here, the audience, and particularly the organizers, I really congratulate them for imparting this information. It's not just screening the films, but there are also talks happening. I truly congratulate, and I hope that this will be great, the awareness creation from this organization, IBC, that the people at large can benefit a lot as to know what's the purpose of the films. Thank you so much.
We are grateful to Venerable Geshe Dorji Abdul for his inspiring address. Ladies and gentlemen, now it's time to know more about this Bodhipath Film Festival. For introducing this 2 days film festival, I will invite Director General of IBC, Mr. Abhijit Haldarji, please.
Good morning, Namaskar, Namo Buddhaya. Welcome to you all to this 2 days film festival. Delhi wakes up a little late, you can see that. I'm getting calls from a lot of people saying that I'm stuck in traffic here, there. There are 40 students coming from the Gautam Buddha University, they will all be here. But we decided to stick to time. Absolutely honored to have Venerable Geshe Damdulji from the Tibet House, and also our own Secretary General, Jamshuk Choranji. Both of them have spent long years writing, teaching, and also speaking, lecturing all across the world, spreading the message of the Buddha. Also, an honor to have Chittaranjan Tripathi ji from the NSD. It's an institute of fame set up in 1958 by the Government of India and We have some of the finest actors coming out of this school. We have people like Nasiruddin Shah, Neena Gupta, Om Puri, and in modern times, Nawazuddin Siddiqui, Pankaj Tripathi, etc. A fantastic job that you have at hand, Tripathi ji. Thank you for being here. He himself has been an actor. And, people who are into Hindi films would have seen him in different shades. Gagan Malik ji, amazing personality. At this age, he is actually the diplomat doing the right job between India and Thailand. And I think, you may have ambassadors and embassies doing a lot of work on diplomacy, but something which Gagan Malik has done is amazing. I've had the occasion of interacting with him on 3 occasions. In 2022, we had traveled to Thailand as part of the Bodhipath exhibition. He was there very much supporting us, lending us his hand. We were in Thailand with the holy relic of the Buddha, and that was a great experience. We had more than 4 million Thais actually paying their obeisance to the holy relic. Gaganji was again there supporting us all throughout. And very recently, I think less than even a month back, I think 14th of February, we had an event in Thailand known as Samvad, along with the Vivekananda International Foundation. Actually, they are the ones who hosted that program, and we partnered with them. Once again, he was there at this event. And it's interesting to see when he's around in Thailand, he's flocked with a lot of youngsters. He's really the hero. And I think there can't be anybody better than this to project the aspect of Buddha Dhamma. He became a monk for several days. That also became a big story. Thank you for being here. At the outset, I must mention that the whole concept of this particular festival was conceived by us within less than a month. And I remember some of my teammates saying that, less than a month to do this film festival, would it be feasible? So I said, yes. I mean, everything is feasible. I mean, you have the blessings of the Buddha, and we'll go through it. So we managed to put through this particular package. The idea was to present to you 2 categories of films. The first category belongs to films which are the legendary traditional Buddhist films, without which no Buddhist film festival can take place. So we have a very fine collection of those films. The other is the category of films where we have some young directors and producers based in India who have produced these films. And this was a very revealing experience for us, because quite contrary to the general notion that the modern directors and producers do not produce films which are healthy with a social message. They tend to produce films which are money earners. This is not the case. We have identified quite a few of them who've done some excellent work producing some Buddhist films. They are here in the audience. They will be here for the next 2 days. And I would request all of you to engage with them. The brochures have their names and their details. The other aspect also which we wanted to highlight is to give you a clear, transparent, cinematic experience. As Venerable Geshe Damdulji mentioned, that we are living in an era of pollutant information space. There's a lot of negativity, there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of disinformation. You can get to watch movies on OTT platform, etc. But as the Buddha would always say, that an individual realizes who he or she is when he or she exists on his or her own self. And the Vipassana meditation, if you look at it, it basically keeps you away from the material world and brings you to a seclusion zone where you're on your own. And I think this cinematic experience is something like that. We wanted you all to come into this hall in the darkness, interact with the screen, a sort of a meditative experience. That's what I call this. I also thought that this will be a good opportunity to interact with youngsters like Gagan Malik ji, and we also have very soon, he'll be arriving here, Mohit Chauhan, the playback singer. He's again another personality who's played a tremendous role as an ambassador between India and Mongolia. He spent a lot of time in Mongolia, and this year being 70 years of diplomatic relations between India and Mongolia, he's got quite a few song charts, which are being prepared. He's already done a song on Mongolia, along with a Mongolian band, which he's going to play. We're going to play it here once he comes in. And on insistence, he agreed to play one song which is still not released, but in the preparatory stage. So we'll see if he offers that song or not. So he'll be here around 12:30. We also have on the second day Adil Hussain, a famous actor, Indian and international actor, who has won several awards, including for his performance in the Academy Award-winning film Life of Pi, very famous, and you'll see him tomorrow, engaging in a conversation and discussion with a famous news reporter. So it's a wonderful package, and I think the films which we have selected, given the time frame, narrowing down to 10 films from about 16 or 17 was quite a tough job, but I think the committee has managed to bring about a good variety. So you have a range of films from topics such as the life and experiences of Tibetan youth in India, to the status of nuns in monasteries, to the spread of Buddha Dhamma across Southeast Asia, to the spread of knowledge from the ancient Indian University of Nalanda. We also have films on Guru Padma Sambhava, the ancient saint of the 8th century, and also of the modern saint, that is Venerable Kushak Bakula, who was a monk from Ladakh, and he was our ambassador to Mongolia from 1990 to 2000. So these films are something unique and rare. Most significantly, this year, 6th of July, happens to be an important date, 90th birthday of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And we decided to bring in some films which portray his life and contributions. These are some very rare and unique films which will be shown here. I must also remind you that today, March 10, happens to be the Tibetan Raising Day. So it's very symbolic to play films of His Holiness. We have about 4 panel discussion sessions, all woven around challenges in preparing and producing spiritual films or philosophical films, as well as media and communication, etc. I'll not go into the details of these topics, but I'll also mention about some of the moderators who have come from different places. Dr. Shashi Bala, she's just going to arrive here. She's an academician. She's worked for years in Mongolia, and she's been conferred the highest and the most prestigious award of the Mongolian government for her work. We have Mr. Binoy Behel. He's also arriving in a while. We have a film of his which is being shown, and he's going to speak before the film is shown. He's a writer, photographer, filmmaker, traveled across several countries. His films on Buddhism have been shown on BBC as well as by National Geographic. So he's going to be here. I'll leave it to him to speak. We have Mr. Subodh Poddar, who's here. He's an excellent person. I've known him for years together. He is an artist, a multifaceted artist, a painter, a dancer, a sculptor, a writer. And I think about 25, 30 years back when I met him, he was somewhere living among tribals, if I'm not mistaken. And I was wondering, what is he doing among tribals, trying to understand their lifestyle, the way they paint, they art, they draw, and or they do the artistic work, and etc. etc. Their life cycle and the way they live. But these days he's been traversing the Himalayas, and he's very much into Buddha Dhamma, wanting to know more about Buddhism, and he's written a book on Rahula in Hindi, which has been blessed by His Holiness. He's planning to have a film done on that particular book. We thank you very much for coming from Mumbai. We also have with us Surinder Talwarji, who's a filmmaker, who is, last 3 years he's been working on Buddhist films, and he's done a film for IBC. Actually, we decided that, for 10 years that we have been working till 2022, since we were created in 2012, we decided to do a film on 10 years of IBC. And this is a film which Surinder Talwar did. But then there's a beautiful film on Nalanda, which he has done, which will be shown here. He'll also be here in a while. So these are the 4 moderators, but I would like to, among the panelists, I'll not want to go into details. I have Arjun Pandey, a producer, sitting there. You can stand up, Arjun. At this age, I mean, he's been into filming in a big way. And I have Rajni Basumatri. Rajni, I think I'll ask you to just stand. She's done a lot of films from the northeast of India, bringing out issues, bringing out complicated aspects of the northeast society. And her films have won several awards in different countries, international film festivals. She was in Mary Com also in that particular movie. Thank you for being here. So I will end here. Just wanted to share something very interesting, which always happens with the IBC. First of all, I must say that, kudos to this team IBC. I don't include myself in that team, but these youngsters in the last 20 days have slogged day and night. I used to get messages from them at 2, 3 a.m. in the morning regarding drafts to be checked up, photographs to be finalized, etc. And because of them, we are here today having this film festival. A round of applause from them. But one thing they told me is that, sir, everything is in place, but we needed, it would be good if we have a message from a high-profile actor. So I couldn't really understand, what they meant by high-profile. So they said somebody really big, who's into acting and who's also into Buddhist practices. So I did try to get in touch with some of them, and they were either busy or they were traveling, or then they didn't see the reason why they should give a video message. They would rather want to be physically present here. So it didn't really work out. But I always believe in the Buddha's blessing. And in situations like this, 48 hours or 24 hours before the event, the miracle happens with his blessings. So it happened. So just day before yesterday, on Saturday evening, I got a chance to meet the famous Hollywood actor Richard Gere, who was in Delhi for just few hours on his way back from Dharamshala back to US. So I carried my pamphlet for this film festival to him. We discussed a lot of issues, and at the end of it, I requested him to say a few words for this film festival. And he was so elated. In fact, he said that if it was happening on the day I was here, I would have certainly dropped by. So we have a video message from Richard Gere for this particular event, which we're going to show you a little later. Thank you very much, and welcome once again. Namo Buddhaya.
Thank you very much, Abhijit Haldarji, for giving us a detailed insight about this 2 days film festival. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest of honor in this inaugural session of Bodhipath Film Festival, Mr. Chittaranjan Tripathi, is an accomplished theatre director, actor, writer, and composer. He has also acted in many Oriya and Hindi films and also has directed many Oriya and Hindi films. OTT platforms पर भी कई productions में आपने अभिनय से अपनी गहरी छाप छोड़ी है. And currently he is, as you all know, He is Director of National School of Drama. May I now invite, with a big round of applause from you, Mr. Chittaranjan Tripathi ji for his address on this occasion, please.
Namaskar. Respected all. So, actually, I have nothing to say which is quite intellectual because I lack that kind of intellectuality. I'm just a practitioner of theatre arts, and it's God's blessings that right now I happen to be the director of National School of Drama. So having come from theatre, I would like to share certain things for the filmmakers that in this part of the world, Natya Shastra was written before 3,500 years, and Natya Shastra is still the first ever treatise on theatre. And during the time when Buddhism was thriving in this nation, so it had a deep connection with the treatise of Natya Shastra. And in terms of storytelling, so the monks and other participants, while narrating the stories of Jataka Katha, would actually take elements from Natya Shastra. So Natya Shastra actually talks about 4 elements essentially in terms of Abhinay, which is Angik, Vachik, Aharya, Satvik. And if we look into it with a scientific approach, so it's a fact that the entire life is all about Angik, Vachik, Aharya and Satvik. So when we come to this world, so we come to this world with Angik, Abhinay, because the entire world is just like a play. That's why it has been described in Natya Shastra, and later the Western world also started saying that theatre is a reflection of the entire world, entire universe, reflection of society. Angik, because you start breathing, when you come out, you are breathing, so that is Angik. And after a few seconds, you start crying, that is your first ever Vachik, Abhinay. And after a few years, your parents, your society, your societal norms expect you to, wear certain things which is Aharya, that is to do with costumes and makeup. And then, of course, Satvik. As you grow, you start getting education about life. So it is not about the bookish education, it is beyond that. So when you start your journey beyond the books, you become Satvik. And the great teachings of Lord Buddha is all about becoming Satvik and becoming selfless. So in this world, the world which is just a montage, it's full of audio and visual elements. So cinema is also a reflection of this worldly montage. And cinema to me is actually the ultra theatre, because in films also you do the same thing that we do in theatre. So when it evolved, there was no such technicalities and such developments in the field of science and technology. So people started telling their stories in their own way on stage in front of the audience. And now it is in cinema the same thing, which are recorded and manipulated, and then it is presented aesthetically, of course, but at the same time we have different kinds of contents, as rightly it has been mentioned. So different kinds of contents. So now in this, at present, when the world is going through wars, rising oceans, climatic change, and lack of trust. So cinema, theater, art, and the teachings of Buddha can actually lead us to build a better world. Thank you so much.
We are grateful to Mr. Chittaranjan Tripathi ji for sharing his insights on the subject and delivering his address. Just as an information and as mentioned by Abhijit ji, we will have a special session by Gagan Malik ji tomorrow morning. So we will have opportunity, and you will not miss that. So tomorrow morning we will be listening to Mr. Gagan Malik also. But now we conclude this inaugural session with this and move on forward for the further proceedings. I will request the dignitaries on the dais to please take their seats in front. And first we will start with the message as mentioned by Abhijit ji, message by Richard Gere. But before that, I will request the dignitaries to take their seats in the audience, please. And I will request you also to please put your hands together to express our gratitude to all the dignitaries on the dais who graced this occasion, this inaugural session, with their presence and their thoughts. So before we start the screening of the films, ladies and gentlemen, let's listen to the special message by top Bollywood actor, one of the top Bollywood actors, Richard Gere.
Hello, everybody. I'm looking here at this wonderful brochure, the Bodhipath Film Festival. I know you're all there right now. Very exciting, these wonderful films. Some of it I've seen before, and there's one I'm actually in. So enjoy yourselves. This is a great opportunity to maybe make our path to Buddhism maybe a little deeper and more interesting. Enjoy it. Lots of love. Bye.
So this was the recorded message, video message by Richard Gere. Now let's move on to the screening of the films, ladies and gentlemen. The first film to be screened is in fact a documentary of short duration, about 7 minutes, with the title Dissemination of Buddha Dhamma in Asia. It has been directed by Professor Dr. Rabindra Pant, and it has been produced by IBC's in-house team. So please, let's watch the documentary Dissemination of Buddha Dhamma in Asia. Buddha Dhamma in Asia. It just was this documentary produced by IBC and directed by Professor Dr. Rabindra Pant. Dr. Rabindra Pant is here, I think he is here. So, puri team ke liye, yeah, he is here. So, Dr. Pant and for all the team members of this production, we congratulate them for this wonderful production. And now, next film of the festival is The Cup. It is from the Bhutan. And this film follows the football-loving Tibetan refugee novice monks. It's a very interesting story, in fact, who strive to get a television for their remote Himalayan monastery just to watch the 1988 FIFA World Cup final. Language of the film is Tibetan with the subtitles in English. This film has been directed by the Dzongtsar Jamyang Khyentse Rinpoche, is known as Khyentse Norbu. Venerable Khyentse Norbu is a Bhutanese Lama, filmmaker, and writer. And this film was made by him in 1999, and duration of the film is 93 minutes. So let's watch the cup. Mohit Chauhanji is, as you all know, a very famous Indian playback singer, lyricist also, composer also. And he has received 2 Filmfare Awards and 3 Zee Cine Awards and also 1 IFA Award for his songs. He is also cultural envoy of Mongolia to India, and ये हम सब के लिए बहुत honor की बात है. He is with us as a guest of honor. So please put your hands together to welcome him on stage. I will request Mohit Chauhanji to please come on stage. One microphone, cordless microphone is also required. So, Mohit Chauhan sir.
Namaskar. You know, I'm a musician, singer, songwriter. I'm not much of a speaker. You know, whenever I'm on stage, I sing my songs. But I just want to say a few things over here today. I'm really honored and delighted to be here today at this unique festival of films curated around Buddhism, and how amazing this idea is. And I'm glad that it was thought of and is being successfully executed by IBC. I want to thank IBC and Mr. Abhijit Halder for calling me here. Thank you. Thank you so much. You know, my association with IBC has been old enough for me to feel, you know, like IBC is family. I've been to many of the amazing programs that IBC has organized in the past. And especially, you know, I was really overwhelmed to be part of a delegation led by Shri Kiran Rijijuji some years back to Mongolia with the relics of Lord Buddha. And I was grateful that I was part of a group that traveled with the relics and participated in the massive ceremony in the Gandan monastery in Ulaanbaatar. You know, I'm really honored about that. It was really inspiring to be there. I'm a practicing Hindu, but Buddhism has been a very, very impressive influence in my life since childhood. I belong to Himachal Pradesh, and as you know, Himachal Pradesh has some of the very, very old monasteries. Some of them are more than 1,000 years old in Spiti, Lahore. And of course, I spent many years in Dharamsala, a place that is blessed by His Holiness Dalai Lama Ji. He lives there. And of course, there's a place called Rivalsar, from where Guru Rinpoche Ji traveled to Tibet to spread talk about Buddhism, to spread Buddhism. And then I've been to Sikkim and many other places, and I've got a lot of friends, you know, who practice Buddhism, and I've been familiarized by them with the stories and the teachings of Buddhism. And through my years of growing up, I used to meet, like I said, you know, many people who were Buddhist, practicing Buddhist, and somewhere quietly the teachings of Lord Buddha, particularly ahimsa and compassion, towards all have become my guiding principles in my life. You know, as a musician, That's what I've always felt, when I was in Himachal Pradesh in my growing years, and I would love to be, amongst nature and mountains and rivers. And I thought, and even now I think that the compassion, I think, is the most invaluable thing in ahimsa that we have from Lord Buddha. And the way the world is going, I think is really important for people to practice and cultivate compassion, for life around you and people and animals. Music is an intrinsic part of my life, not just because I'm a musician and I do it for a living, but also because, it fuels my soul. And I found peace in following Lord Buddha's steps in serving those who possibly need us the most. Like, I work with animals a lot. That's my way of cultivating compassion for people who need us the most. Animals are voiceless, they can't really tell you what's happening, they don't vote, they don't have any greed. So to take care of animals, I thought it was really important in my life to do that, apart from my music. So I take care of more than 400 stray animals, including dogs and a lot of other animals. I take care of them every day. For the past 5-6 years, I take care of their feeding, their medical needs, and it requires a whole lot of time and money, which I am happily willing to spend on them. It gives me a whole lot of joy and peace to be able to help the voiceless. That's my way of following Lord Buddha's teachings of compassion. And I've seen many times, Dalai Lama ji also talks about how compassion is the most important. Even in my concerts, I've been singing for the past 27 years now, and I've done a whole lot of commercial films, some of the biggest films I've done. And in my concerts, when I go out and sing songs, I always, by the end of the concert, I always tell my audience, and I have a whole lot of young people in the audience, I always tell them how compassion is important and they should go out and make this world a better place by cultivating and practicing compassion and ahimsa. I also run an animal welfare trust called Animals Are People Too, under which I work with the animals. And my involvement with these animals is really where I find my joy and peace, and I feel my life is a little worthwhile, apart from just earning money and, being materialistic. So that is something that I believe in, and I've been practicing it for a very long time now. Buddhism, I believe, can make us better human beings. It can make us aware of the worth of those around us, who we tend to forget in the hustle and the chase of the modern world, and I believe that I'm not part of the rat race, I'm not part of that, even though I've been part of the film industry, but I keep myself away, I indulge in my music, and I take care of a whole lot of animals, and I just keep myself like that. And I wish that, the message of Lord Buddha, of compassion, ahimsa, goes down to the younger generations who are growing up, who are going to take care of the world after all of us are gone. And, if they could learn about these priceless teachings, that'll be amazing. And I'm sure a festival like this will succeed in achieving that. And of course, a whole lot of message is going to go out through the beautiful films that we're all watching here. I saw a little part of that Bhutanese film, and I thought it was really beautiful. I've been to Bhutan a couple of times, and I think it's really a beautiful place. Very contemplative, mountains, nature. I like those kind of places. And, like I said, I also was honored to be part of a delegation to Mongolia. I've been there a couple of times, and I was honored to be the cultural envoy of Mongolia to India. And when I was in Mongolia, I heard about Bakula Rinpoche ji, who, was instrumental in reviving Buddhism in Mongolia. We also visited some really beautiful monasteries over there. I think outside Ulaanbaatar, there's a place called, I forget the name now, Shanshin or something like that, which is an energy center in the Gobi Desert, and I had the good fortune of visiting that place and taking the blessings. And because I was in Mongolia and I'd heard the Mongolian music, I also collaborated with Mongolian musicians. You know, I love to do that, to experience different cultures, and Mongolia was really beautiful. And you know, those visits have reaffirmed to me that if we make ahimsa and compassion for all the guiding principles of our lives, this world would be a much, much, much better place. And that's, you know, what I've learned from the teachings of Lord Buddha and what I've seen. So, thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mohit Chauhanji, for these wonderful words. Your emotions, your sentiments are very precious for us. I will request Abhijit Haldarji, our DG IBC, to please come on stage and felicitate Mohit Chauhanji, जो सिर्फ इस फेस्टिवल के लिए इस हमारी रिक्वेस्ट पर, IBC की रिक्वेस्ट पर यहाँ आए हैं. इतना बेहतरीन काम कर रहे हैं आप, and we are grateful and thankful to you for all those activities which you are taking over and doing for the animals, for the environment. So please, this is time to put your hands together to have a big applause, round of applause for Mohit Chauhanji for his precious presence and also his work which he is doing for the animals and society, environment. Thank you very much, Mohitji, for coming and joining us for this. Please.
I just couldn't avoid the temptation to speak a few words when Mohit Chauhan is here. You know, I met him for the first time in 2022, June, when we were going to Mongolia on board an Air Force aircraft, C-17 Globestar. I still remember, it was like a football field. And the relics were being carried aboard that aircraft. And I got a lot of chance, a lot of time to spend with him in the rear of the aircraft, and got to know him better. He's been associated with IBC for quite long, but I got to know him since that time, and it's been a very useful journey all throughout. He's always been by our side. Today itself, in fact, you know, he was in Mangalore in the morning, and when we decided on this program, it seemed that he couldn't make it, but then we got a call saying that whatever it is, I'm going to make it, and I'm going to somehow reach there before noon. And he sort of managed it. He just landed, went home, sort of changed, and is here. Thank you very much for all your support. Wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, Mohitji, and thank you, Abhijitji. There is a very famous album of Mohitji, Musafir, and one song especially which is very close to us, Dur. I think Mongolia के musician music के साथ कुछ collaborate करके आपने इसको prepare किया था. So now it's time to listen to that music, the video, and feel the sound which he has created through his creativity. Dur from Musafir album. और मंगोलिया और इंडिया के जो बॉन्डिंग है हर तरह से, उसका इतना खूबसूरत, मतलब एक आर्टिस्टिक और क्रिएटिव प्रेजेंटेशन ये है, बहुत इफेक्टिव. थैंक यू वेरी मच मोहित जी फॉर दिस वंडरफुल प्रोडक्शन. And now let's move on to the first panel discussion of the festival, ladies and gentlemen. In this session, the eminent panelists will be sharing their thoughts on the subject. The first topic is the relevance of Buddhist films in India, past, present, and future. And may I now request the panelists to be, before that, please put the chairs here on the stage. We will be needing 3 chairs for this session. we would like to share with you that in this session, which is based on the relevance of Buddhist films in India, past, present, and future, we will have Professor Dr. Shashi Balaji, Mr. Arjun Pandey ji, and Mr. Rahul Dongre ji as the panelists in this session. And it's a very important, very relevant topic. In these 2 days film festival, we will have a screening of films also, but at the same time, we will be having panel discussions on different and related topics and themes and subjects. So now let's invite on stage, ladies and gentlemen, Professor Dr. Shashi Bala, Mr. Arjun Pandey, and Mr. Rahul Dongre on stage, please. With I will request all the three to please come on stage and take their seats on the stage. शशि जी, अर्जुन जी और राहुल जी प्लीज़ स्टेज पर आ जाएं और आपसे भी रिक्वेस्ट है प्लीज़ पुट योर हैंड्स टुगेदर टू गिव अ बिग राउंड ऑफ अप्लॉज टू शशि जी एंड all other panelists in this session. As you know, Professor Dr. Shashi Bala will be the moderator of this session. She is very renowned endologist and dean in K.M. Munshi Center for Endology, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. She has received Mongolia's highest civil state award also. As a research professor at the International Academy of Indian Culture, she has written almost 25 books and 110 research papers. So we welcome Professor Dr. Shashi Bala on stage in this session, who will be moderating this session. Thank you for joining us. We have Mr. Arjun Pandey, one of our speakers, also a renowned environmentalist, award-winning filmmaker, and media professional with over 28 years of experience. He is here, so please put your hands together to welcome him also, Arjun Pandey ji. And we also have Mr. Rahul Dongre. He is a digital creator and life and spiritual mentor too. He has a deep passion for Buddha and his Dhamma, and he also inspires others through these teachings. So all the three dignitaries, panelists, eminent experts on the subject are here. So now I will request Professor Dr. Shashi Balaji to start the proceedings of this session. But before that, I have one request, a small request, but that is very important. We have a time constraint. So please stick to the time schedule because by 5 p.m. we have to clear all these sessions today and we have to vacate that hall. So please stick to the time schedule. This is my humble request to all of you.
A very good afternoon to all of you. First of all, let me thank IBC, Mr. Abhijit Haldar, and the entire team who has been working hard for organizing this event. When I look at any of the Buddhist film festival, I think about our friend, unfortunately she has passed away, Miss Aruna Vasudev. She did a lot of work on Buddhist festivals. She organized several, and she's not with us anyway. So today, as you all know, that there are two speakers, Mr. Arjun Pandey and Mr. Rahul Dongre, in this panel. So, as you all know that Mr. Arjun Pandey is a renowned environmentalist, award-winning filmmaker and media professional, over 28 years of experience. So we welcome you here. Mr. Rahul Dongre is a digital creator and life and spiritual mentor dedicated to helping professionals unlock their higher selves. With a deep passion for Buddhism and his Dhamma, Rahul inspires others through his teachings. There is a long list of his achievements, both of you. You are most welcome. These two are very, very important topics, not only for India, not only for Buddhists, but for the entire world. Buddhism, as it spread from the isles of Indonesia to the grasslands of Mongolia and to the deserts of Central Asia. And today also, wherever you go, it has its presence. There is a reason behind it. We cannot go into the details, but I must say then that when Buddhism flourished, when it spread, when the great masters sacrificed their lives, there was peace. And today we are talking of sustainable development. That was a time when people did not have this kind of problems, the challenges that we are facing today. So where is the way? What is the way? What is the path? So we have to go back and search and research and find out some solutions which Buddhism can, of course, give to the world. So with this, just a very brief introduction. So first I invite Mr. Arun Pandey for his presentation. Mr. Arun Pandey. Please give him a big hand.
Thank you. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. I would like to thank the IBC, Abhijit Halzar Sahab, for this invitation. I think the work that the IBC is doing is very remarkable. It gives a lot of encouragement to people who are creating and telling stories in the cultural space, right? I think the fact, when you look at India, and if you study, I would say, the energy of India, every country, every city in the world has a different energy signature. What is it that India has? For me, I feel that the spatial aura of India is spirituality. You know, the home of, birthplace of so many religions, the home of all modern religions that the world has, right? Living in harmony. And one of those, and if you look at it, if you look at people in the West today, they wake up to meditation, they wake up to yoga, exports of India. But there is another export of India that has traveled every corner of the world, Buddhism. And I feel that it is in the spatial aura of India that the unlocking of, you know, the whole spiritual quest is ongoing. Now, how do we enable stories? I see India as 1.4 billion storytellers. There are many hurdles. All of us are born into it. We have an oral tradition. So therefore, we all love telling stories, right? And I feel that today IBC is giving that platform to encourage us. I think this organization of the film festival, all the themes that we've spoken about, all of those find so much resonance in, the overall movement and the need of the hour to tell more stories. So while I think a lot has been done, but I feel a lot more needs to be done. I think that as a person who's been privileged, I was born into a media family, therefore, from the time of college, I was working on films. So for me, it was easier, and therefore nearly 3 decades, from the age of 17. But, today, someone else who can, how do we encourage and build up more storytellers? When you look at the heritage of Buddhism and the places in India, there's so many of them. We have such wealth. The place where Lord Buddha gained enlightenment, to the place where the first sermons were happening, to so many others. And these are maybe top-level places. But I would say they are minor places, mid places, where the relevance is so massive. And it can only be understood. I remember going to the Ajanta caves, and this morning the Venerable Rinpoche was also talking about paintings as a form of storytelling. Now, if you go, and just before coming here, I did a quick chat GPT search, and I said, which is the most expensive painting in the world? So I think Da Vinci's Christ the Redeemer is at $430 million. It's painted somewhere in the 1500s. You also have Da Vinci's Mona Lisa, which is insured at $1 billion. Now, why is this important? Because when you go into the Ajanta caves, and if any of you haven't, please go, this is the wealth of humanity. The assets there. You have paintings which are 1,500, 2,000 years old, where you have life depicted from back then in full color, in such beautiful detail that there's none. So you can't even, and I asked ChatGPT, I said, can you value these paintings? And it said, no, you cannot value these paintings. But I said, oh, and I kept on. I said, no, but tell me. So I said, if you put $1 billion valuation, 30 caves, it's more than 30, it's 30 billion. So, I mean, the value of those paintings, because each one of those caves is so much. So that's storytelling way back there, and to storytelling now. So can we tell more of these stories? And I find that this as a device has really enabled storytelling. So I look up to a lot more of the digital format for doing that. I look to the government for more support on, encouraging storytellers and filmmakers to reach out. Because I find that the heritage that India has and what India has to offer, as I said, yoga and meditation are just 2 paths. I think just in Buddhism, maybe there's 100 more that we can offer, from Vipassana to other forms. Every single thing that's coded into our traditions is something that can be exported and, be of value to all sentient beings. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your inspiring words. Yes, of course, we have to first inspire people, then educate them, then groom them and train them, and then they practice. And what a man practices, he becomes. And you talked about visualization. Actually, philosophy has always been a difficult subject for the lay people. So, do you know that just in one cave complex, Dunhuang in China, 25 kilometers of wall surface is covered by visualizing the sutras. So we always need them, we always were doing it all over the world. And ChatGPT, of course, it needs more stuff from our side. We haven't put enough into the box. So whatever is there in the box, that we will get it. So there's a lot that we have to do. And also I want to draw your attention that heritage preservation should be, whatever, the way it has been done, the level that it has been done is not sufficient. So we have to very, very seriously work on it, think about it. And always whenever I am in this kind of a gathering, I always say that all the sites, Buddhist sites, they are not just tourist sites. They are pilgrimage sites. And we have to do something to maintain the sanctity, because my heart bleeds when I see people wearing shoes, tapping on the statues. They are sacred. Once a sacred space is always sacred. So my request is to preserve it, to do something. The way I'm looking around in India, the way it's deteriorating, it's very, very bad. So I request Mr. Rahul Dongre to please give his presentation. Give him a big hand, please.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm so happy that IBC has given me this opportunity. As a digital creator, where I spread Buddhism through my YouTubes, through my Instagram, through my different channels, it's been a great opportunity for me. Buddha is born in India. The knowledge of Buddhism is spread from India across the world. When we talk about the past, there are a lot of movies which has been created and which has been tried. I have written down some of the names. Movies based on Ashoka, movies based on the architect of India has been used, but not in a manner which can be done in a proper way. King Ashoka plays a very important role here. The beauty of their architect, the stupas, and the monuments are the part of Indian glory and history. In the early days of India cinema, the symbol of Buddhism, such as lotus flower, the wheel of Dhamma, the image of Buddha, and find their way and in a symbolized way. Buddha's teaching always challenge the orthodox systems. But nowadays, they are more into practices like mindfulness and the meditation and all those things. In the past, the early attachment of the cinema was like, I have some of the movie name, like in the past there are some movies, they have tried to make some movies like Light of Asia in 1925. This is made by Edward Arnold, the poem of Buddha. Then the Acharya, 1936. The Gautama the Buddha, 1957, the biopic on Buddhism. And the Angulimala, the 1960, the movie has come. But these movies has not gained such fame or the importance which can be taken place. And some small documentaries, if we talk about, it's like which shows the reflection of Buddhism, like the suffering, the impermanence, the anitya, or the enlightenment, the nirvanas, which is being taught to the audience through the movies. Fast forward to the present, we have seen Buddhist themes evolve and adopt in Buddhism in modern words actually. Today, India is globalizing and the urbanization is taking place. So the stress level is also increasing. So the people are taking Buddhism in terms of their mindfulness, the meditation or the compassion as the tool which can be used globally across the world. And when we talk about the interest of the people is always towards the stress relieving and all the digitalization. As we have seen, the people across the world are more facing the stresses, more facing the different kind of diseases and all. And Buddhism is always have all this solution in their their sutras and their books always available. Nowadays, we have seen movies like Lal Kaptan in 2090, which has been inspired by Buddhism, where they have used the non-violence and the inner conflict has been solved. The South Indian director, which his name is Paranjit, who is trying to make the Thangalan movie, which is also inspired in Buddhism. So few of the directors are attempting to make a movies on Buddhism, but as I always believe that Bollywood has to play a very big role in terms of reliving and sharing the Buddhism in a much better way. As I always believe that Bollywood is not only the film industry, it's a hub of culture where the Bollywood can create the image of any religion or can break the image of any religion. And if Bollywood can start making films which can be more into Buddhism, then the teaching of Buddha, the stupas and the sutras can become in a much better form, and all the technology has been developed, like the VR or the AI and the different kind of short films, and all are the things are available. So if we start using this thing, then we have stories like 500 plus jatakas are there. So these jatakas can be animated, and these films can become as an life-changing things for the students. And all the beautiful architect or the beautiful stupas can be presented in the movies, and a lot of kings are there in Buddhism who can also come out, and their stories as a Veer, their stories as a powerful king can be shown to the world. And I feel this past, present, and future of Buddhism can be come up with the films if Bollywood is taken a better step for Buddhism itself. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rahul. You see, Ashoka spread the message of the Buddha, but what happened during last 2000 years to Buddhism, spreading all over the world, and how and what is the situation now, and what are the challenges for future? What can be the future of Buddhism in the world? There are many such things, and unfortunately, in India, in the school curriculum, we just give a brief, in two lines, we tell our children that Ashoka sent missions, and what happened after that, we are not giving them. It should be added to the school books, according to the level of, for which the different books are, they can be added in different books. So balance today, the way we are becoming too much of materialistic, as we saw in the film also, that there has to be a balance between technology and spirituality. Only then there will be no frustration and greed, and because we are too greedy, our hunger is insatiable and it is becoming more and more. So we have to control it somewhere, otherwise there is everywhere you can see frustration. What I request the IBC here is that we have to make a strategy that we work like a pyramid. On top are the thinkers, the authors, the philosophers, so all those different kinds of scholars, for example, also the filmmakers, whosoever is there, their message has to be spread, brought down to the society, to the lowermost level, as of course you are already doing it, but it has to be done on a, I think, much bigger scale to bring it down slowly from university, from scholarly world to from the academia, all over the world. So many Buddhist scholars are working. I think more scholars are working abroad than India. And the books, the works they are doing, the holdings, Buddhist of our heritage, enormous collections are there in so many countries. You keep going, wherever you go, you see in the museums. So they are our ambassadors. We are not doing anything. Those curators, those museums are working for Buddhism, I think much more and better than us. So we should support them also. Movies, of course, will help us. Bollywood, as you said, that it can make or mar the image, it can destroy, yes, of course. The architecture is not just a beautiful architecture. If you go to see a stupa or you see any of the Buddhist architectures, there is a philosophy behind it. The foundation is given by philosophy, and that is not much taken care of. And that is required. So we must do some research. I think more Indians should be involved into this, because the philosophy, what the Indians have given, the philosophy that is bequeathed by our Buddhist masters in the ancient times, sacrificing their lives, that is there, applied in many different ways. A statue is not just a statue. It's not a piece of art. A painting is not just a piece of art. Architectural, whatever, it's not just a beautiful design, but it has so much behind it, and that has to be understood. Virtuous kings, we must bring this narrative to the next generations, that who were the virtuous kings, why did they do all those things, and what was the contribution of Buddhism, especially for building state. That is very, very important. There are many hundreds of important topics that we can think about and work. And finally, I thank IBC for organizing this and inviting all of us to this stage. And I thank the audience, the monks, the nuns here. Thank you all very much for listening patiently. My request, as always, in all the conferences, that we always say, when we invite a speaker to say something, we say, please be brief. I hope that we can invite less number of speakers and give them enough time. Otherwise, we do not know what is that they want to say. And to take away something from their researches, they dedicate years and years, and we ask them to be brief, just a few minutes, please. So this is just my request, because it's very painful for any of the scholars, any of you. Thank you once again.
Please, Shashiji and all other panelists, please remain on stage, and I will invite Abhijit Halderji, DG IBC, to come on stage and felicitate the panelists in this session. Relevance of Buddhist films in India, past, present and future, was the topic of this session. Professor Dr. Shashi Bala is a very renowned academician, teacher. Professor Dr. Shashi Bala, and please put your hands together to express our gratitude to Professor Dr. Shashi Bala. In this session, we also had Arjun Pandey and Rahul Dongre, who contributed with their thoughts, their presentations in this session. We are very grateful to all these panelists in this session. So once again, Professor Dr. Shashi Balaji, thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Arun Pandey and Mr. Rahul Dongre, thank you very much. We will have a break for lunch and before that, I will request all of you to please try to finish your lunch as early as possible so that we can resume the proceedings. We will start with the film screening and then we will have a panel discussion. So I just... इसलिए अभी तक के लिए आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. आप सबको लंच के लिए हम इनवाइट करते हैं. प्लीज़ जॉइन अस फॉर लंच. We will guide you just outside this auditorium. You will move towards the right direction. And there the lunch has been arranged for all of you. So please, this is the timing for the lunch is up to 2 p.m. So before that, try to finish and come back to your seats so that we can start the post-lunch session in time. Once again, we extend our heartiest welcome to all of you on behalf of Buddhist Confederation, in the International Buddhist Confederation, which has organized this 2 days Bodhipath Film Festival. In this post-lunch session, we are going to show you 3 films, first of all, and after that we will have a panel discussion. We are starting with The Path of Compassion. This film has been directed by Professor Binay Kumar Bahel. It is a documentary and its duration is 19 minutes. This documentary basically dwells to the profound impact of Gautam Siddhartha, one of humanity's greatest teacher. Professor Binay Kumar Bahel is an eminent art historian, filmmaker and photographer. He has captured 53,000 plus images of Asian heritage and produced 145 documentaries. Recognized globally, his exhibitions and films have won numerous awards. This documentary he had made in the year 2020. Let's watch this documentary, Path of Compassion. Path of Compassion, the story of Buddha. This was a documentary directed by Professor Binay Kumar Bahel. Please give him a huge round of applause for making such a wonderful film.
Thank you very much. Such a pleasure to be here with all of you, and my many thanks to Mr. Abhijit Haldar and the International Buddhist Confederation for organizing this wonderful opportunity for people to get together and to see films made on Buddhism. And my thanks also to the Foundation for the Universal Responsibility of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And it's truly wonderful that that these opportunities are created where subjects which are actually the most important, but in today's world sometimes receive the least amount of attention, are brought forward, and all of us are able to get together and to enjoy these. A seeming miracle in the story of man is the travel of ideas. And the travel of these ideas across great obstacles of high mountains and vast oceans, and the warm acceptance of the ideas of life by the people from so many faraway countries underlines the sameness of the human situation everywhere. And this opportunity to look at Buddhism, this opportunity to look at these thoughts of humanity which have been so universally accepted, thoughts which are so full of compassion and kindness, and have become a culture of a continent. This is such a great opportunity to look at the finer aspects of life. Those aspects which make the journey of life worthwhile and take the journey of life in a fruitful direction. And it is indeed a very fine climate which exists in India and in all the Buddhist countries, where all such work is so well encouraged and appreciated. The Public Service Broadcasting Trust is another institution which has contributed so much to the making of these films to bring these before you. And ladies and gentlemen, please go ahead and enjoy the other sensitively made films which will be brought before you. And after that at 4:30, we will get together and have a small discussion about them. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Binay Kumar Bahel, for making the film and sharing your views about the Buddhism. अगला थोड़ी देर में हम पैनल डिस्कशन का जो सेशन होगा उसमें आपको फिर से सुनने का मौका मिलेगा. The next film in this session is a documentary, Geshe Ma is Born, directed by Ms. Malati Rao. She has been making documentaries for last decade, and several of which have been broadcast on public platforms, also public television. Geshe Ma is Born was made by her in the year 2020. As we know, His Holiness the Dalai Lama worked for decades along with the nuns in Tibetan Buddhism to empower and enable them to finally receive the same education and degree as the monks. The film traces the journey of an exceptional nun, Namdol Phuntsok, the first woman ever to be awarded the highest degree in Tibetan philosophy, the Geshe Ma degree, which stands for the knower of the virtue. Duration of this documentary is 56 minutes. Let's watch the documentary, Geshe Ma is Born. So ladies and gentlemen, this was the documentary, Geshe Ma is Born. This was directed by Malti Rao ji. Our third film to be screened in this session is Until Space Remains, the Dalai Lama and India. This is basically a documentary which was made in the year 2016 by Mr. Gaurav Saxena. Gaurav was trained in television production and direction in USA, and thereafter he worked as a screenwriter, director and producer on independent film projects in India, Germany and also in USA. This film explores the historical ties between India and Tibetan culture, starting with the introduction of Buddhism into Tibet by Indian scholars. It highlights the continued influence of Nalanda teachings through Tibetan tradition. This film was produced by Doordarshan for the Dalai Lama's 80th birthday. Duration of the film is 55 minutes. Now let's watch the third film of the session, Until Space Remains, the Dalai Lama and India. Until Space Remains, the Dalai Lama and India. This was the documentary written and directed by Gaurav Saxena. देवी सज्जनों, कल भी हमारा जो दूसरा दिन होगा इस फिल्म फेस्टिवल का, कल भी बहुत ऐसी ही बहुत ही मोटिवेटिंग फिल्म्स जो है वो आपको देखने को मिलेंगी. बट टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू हैव आवर सेकंड पैनल डिस्कशन and this will be the last session of the day. And of course we have the time limitation because we have to wind it up by 5 p.m., 5:10 as early as possible because there is another program in this auditorium. So let's begin the next session, and we are going to have the second panel discussion on the subject opportunity and challenges in spiritual filmmaking. I will invite the moderator and panelists of this session to take their seats on the stage. In this session, we have the honor to have Mr. Anurag Panitha and Ms. Aparna Sanyal as the speakers, while Professor Binoy Kumar Bahel will be the moderator. Professor Bahel is an eminent, as already you know, he is an eminent art historian, filmmaker, and photographer with 44 years of a career, and he is known for his extensive documentation of Asian monuments and art heritage. One of our speakers, Anurag Panitha, is a distinguished journalist with 27 years of experience as a news anchor, a reporter and editor. He is also a prolific writer on cultural diplomacy. Currently, he is media head at IGNCA. Our second speaker in this session will be Ms. Aparna Sanyal, who is a National Film Award-winning documentary filmmaker and producer. And she is currently the managing trustee of the Indian chapter of International Association of Women in Radio and Television. So please put your hands together to welcome all the eminent personalities of this session, Professor Binoy, and the speakers, our speakers, Ms. Aparna Sanyal and Anurag Panitha ji. Please take your seat on the stage. I will request all of you to be on the stage, please. Anurag Panitha is just about to reach here, so he will be joining soon. But now we can just start the proceedings, and here we have Professor Binoy Kumar Bahel and Ms. Aparna Sanyal, so we welcome them. And we request both of you to please take your seats, and I will request, without wasting any time, Mr. Professor Binoy Kumar Bahel to start the proceedings.
Thank you very much. Incidentally, the K stands for Krishan, not Kumar, though it's the usual understanding that it must be Kumar if there's a K out there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very fine occasion. The Bodhipath Film Festival marks a rare opportunity where people come together to show films and to discuss what is truly important in life. And fortunately, there is so much importance that is given in our society to that which is beyond the material world, to that which really makes life worth the living. So we are fortunate to live in a society, we are fortunate to live in a continent which recognizes so much of the importance of this. And such events should really be more and more to help to share the knowledge and in the process generate a lot of energy to energize the seekers, to energize the ones who come to share, and to create this wonderful climate of the exchange. And a climate in which the focus goes and remains on that which is actually so important. And of course, in speaking of Buddhism, the wonderful thing is that here we are talking, as very succinctly put by His Holiness the Dalai Lama in my film also, this is knowledge that we are seeking. And so the hurdle in the way is ignorance. And the cure for ignorance is not prayer. the cure for ignorance is knowledge. So it is all a science of the mind. It is something logical. It is not something which you believe in from belief alone. A kind of belief does dawn, but that is something which is like bhakti yoga, where the bhakti helps you in your devotion, for instance, to His Holiness. The bhakti helps you lose your attachments in the material world and creates a climate of peace where your mind is able to dwell more and more upon that which is important. But the point is to dwell upon that which is important. The point is to go logically, step by step, and proceed step by step towards that knowledge. In fact, that is going to be the subject, is the subject of Aparna's film tomorrow. Guru Padma Sambhav is a remarkable instance of a clearly worked out thought process that makes you go towards knowledge. And it is fascinating to be able to see clearly that all these processes are not rituals or blind rituals, but are carefully worked out for you to proceed towards knowledge. So all this is what makes Buddhism so completely relevant in the world today. And I'm so glad that we are here to discuss all this. And these are things which all of you should highlight everywhere. That we are talking about something which is scientific. We are talking about something which is based upon very well worked out psychology and philosophy. It is not blind faith. Absolutely far from blind faith. So let us really speak about this the way it really is. And I would request the filmmaker, the young, but I believe she looks younger than she is because she has 25 years of experience in filmmaking. So we will request her to speak about Guru Padma Sambhav.
Thank you, Professor. It's a matter of great honor and privilege for me to be sharing the stage with you, somebody whose work we have grown up watching, somebody whose work we have read about. I couldn't agree more with everything that you just said, about Buddhism. And that, I think, brings us to the topic of the panel today, the importance of spiritual filmmaking. And indeed, why should we look at it, especially vis-a-vis Buddhism? And I think your point about how Buddhism, in particular, lays so much emphasis on knowledge. It is not. I remember, Sri Vivekananda, for instance, talked about the 4 spiritual dispensations or dispositions of all human beings, right? So there is the bhakti path, there is the karma path, there's the gyan path, and there's the raj path, raj yoga, bhakti yoga, and so on, right? And his sort of proposition was that we're all a mix in some ways. And I would argue that those who are more sort of leaning towards the Gyan Yoga, would resonate very naturally with Buddhism because of its emphasis on knowledge and on doubting. Buddha himself in the Kalama Sutta talked about the importance of doubting everything. And I think that makes it so sort of relevant, and it will resonate so much with young people, especially, I feel, who want to question, who want to, discover for themselves the reality of life, who don't want, received wisdom or received knowledge as being the basis on which, they live life. And I think that is what makes the idea of making films on Buddhism specifically so interesting, because they actually have the ability and the power to resonate with younger audiences. Because people are looking, people are searching, everybody's searching for that one thing that will help them make sense of life. There is a lot of information that is very easily available in the world today, thanks to social media, as we were just discussing a little while ago. But information is not power, always, even though, when we were in the media, we would say information is power. But information is not power, knowledge is power. And we need to be able to distinguish between information and knowledge. And I think Buddhism is able to give us that lens to truly investigate, interrogate, question if everything that's being echoed around us is indeed reality. Or is there something else that reality is, and how can we reach there? So the wonderful thing about Buddhism is that not only does it sort of speak of there being a reality which transcends this illusionary world that we are all in and we are condemned in a way to live in, but it also gives you a path. So it doesn't just talk about that ultimate reality, it also gives you a path. And there are different paths. That's the other beautiful thing. So depending again on your own disposition, you can sort of decide on which path would make sense. So I feel like of all kinds of spiritual filmmaking, Buddhism in particular lends itself very well to filmmaking, especially if we're able to respond to the current challenges of our times, where, like I said, people are really sort of looking, searching, trying to figure out how to make sense of this, this crazy adventure called life.
Yes. In fact, in this search for knowledge, which used to be much more very individual, solitary exercise of meditation and going deep within the self and working out the ways of being able to see what is truly real. The major contribution that Buddhism made was the Sangha, the coming together of so many people who were seeking the path. And this led very early in the day to larger congregations. It led, in fact, to the first universities of the world. We are able to, in fact, study and very clearly see how the universities, of which the best known, of course, is Nalanda, but it was a conglomerate of universities. It was a consortium of universities, where there was Nalanda, there was Vikramshila, there was Udantpuri, there was Paharpur, there was Takshashila, there was Balkh, and so many others. And they are on record so many movements of scholars. Atisa himself studied at Nalanda, went for higher studies to Indonesia, where there was a great university, most probably at Muara Jambi, and then came back and taught at Vikramshila, from where he was invited to Tibet. Now this coming together of so many intellectuals and the study of this path, the study of the various steps on the path, the way to find a path which would work for all. Now these are some of the amazing things which happened. And Guru Padmasambhav is again supposed to be a product of the Nalanda University. And His Holiness talks so much about the Nalanda tradition, which is so important, and the scientific basis of all this. So truly, in the other place which was very active in this study was the Valley of Kashmir. It was a great center of Buddhism where so much was studied. In fact, the Yogacara school is believed to have first developed in Kashmir with Asanga and Vasubandhu. And then it developed into the Vajrayana eventually and traveled to so many places. In fact, you see reflections of this all the way down to Indonesia, which I just mentioned. The Borobudur Stupa, in fact, is Vajradhatu Mandala, which is something which we also know that was picked up from Kashmir. Yes. Please invite him also.
So Anurag ji, please, Anurag Punitha, please आप भी स्टेज पर आए. एक बार इनका हम वेलकम आपकी करतल बन के साथ ज़रूर करेंगे. Mr. Anurag Punitha, and now please, Professor Bahal.
Welcome.
Please continue.
Yes. So we are talking about Guru Padmasambhav, and we are talking about this extremely logical path, extremely logical, towards the discovery of knowledge and the crystallizing of this logical path in such a way that all can follow it. And the great contribution which this made to the whole world is that ways of study, the ways of propounding theses, the way of passing on knowledge was preserved. In fact, it was taken from these monasteries, the last surviving ones being in Central Asia. It was taken from these monasteries to Europe, where the first monasteries were founded in Paris and then other places. And you were able to discern exactly the movement because of the highly formalized structure of the writing of theses which happened at Nalanda and other universities. So it's very clear and very discernible, the fact that these were the basis of the universities of the world. So we're talking about a great font of knowledge and a great intellectualizing, the creation of the concept of the university. And all this happened because of Buddhism, because of the Sangha, the coming together of so many intellectuals to jointly create the knowledge and propagate the knowledge. And would you like to contribute to what we were talking about, Anurag?
Actually, I'm sorry for, first of all, to join a little lately, got stuck in the meeting. Yeah, you were saying, actually, I'm not aware of the kind of context and the question that normally, yeah.
Maybe I can respond to that and it'll be easier for you to get into the conversation. No, so, Professor Bell, thank you for mentioning these two things. One is, of course, the importance of the Sangha, which I want to sort of expand on, and also the fact that it is so logically put down. You know, there is an obsession in today's day and age on evidence. You know, the minute you say anything, the first question is, what is the evidence base for this? You know, any kind of research that happens, any kind of, I do work in mental health. So in mental health, the minute you talk about anything, the first question is, where is the evidence base for this? And in that conversation, when, you know, we try and bring in Buddhism, you know, you'll have people saying, yes, but that's religion. And I sort of, take great pains to explain that, number one, this is not religion in the way in which we understand religion. The fact that Buddhism is actually so logically well laid out, it has been thought through so beautifully, and not just today. And so, I mean, I say that, the evidence base actually goes back to thousands and millions of people over hundreds and thousands of years. That's the evidence base we're talking about as far as Buddhism is concerned. And like you said, you mentioned so beautifully, and you spoke about it so beautifully, the fact that all of this knowledge was preserved, written about, reflected upon for hundreds and hundreds of years by all of these amazing students, really the best minds of the time, who congregated at these universities and spoke and thought about all of this and created work. They wrote copious amounts, they wrote commentary after commentary, and they have left it for us to read. So none of this is, like you said so beautifully a little while back, none of this is blind faith. None of this is, believe it because I'm telling you. There is a body of work that exists. Read it for yourself. See if it makes sense for you, and then adapt, take it, use it, and that's what the Buddha always said. This is what the Dalai Lama, His Holiness the Dalai Lama constantly says, right? He says, don't change your religion. Just take what you want, use it in secular ways. You don't have to just stay with the religion you were born into. Just use this information because that's what the Buddha wanted it to be used as. This was just information for everybody's benefit. Nobody's trying to make money off it, So that was one thing. And the second very important thing you spoke of was the concept of the Sangha. And I think that's so important to really highlight in today's day and age, where we're becoming more and more individualized as people. And I think, this mental health epidemic that we're looking at these days, a lot of it goes back to the fact that we're being taught to live for ourselves only. The idea of the Sangha, the idea of the collective, the idea that, it is impossible to live just by yourself. It's not enough to just live for oneself. All of these are, little nuggets of wisdom that we seem to be losing. And I think the younger generation is paying the price for it. So I really connect, this sort of full-blown, conversation on mental health. And, and because we do a lot of work with young people, we're seeing that, they're really in a lot of emotional distress. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that, they simply don't have access to these age-old wisdoms that lives in our society, that lives in our culture, but we're so wrapped up in watching on social media, our influencers and so on, or, on just, cracking our school and college system to get that, glamorous job somewhere, that we're not spending any time on these very important things that really help you live life. These are things that we need to know to be able to learn how to live life, and it's all getting lost somewhere. So thank you so much, because this is something that I believe in very firmly. We need to go back to the Sangha if we have to create lives that have more meaning for all of us. It is our obsession with the self. It's something, again, His Holiness says so beautifully. It is the obsession with the self that causes sadness and pain and suffering.
And in this knowledge and the propagation of any ideas, a very important point to remember is, and this is also the way that you are able to trace the movement of the concept of the university, all the way from Nalanda through through Balkh and to Paris, is the discursive argument. When a thesis is propagated at Nalanda and these other universities, there are so many points given A, B, C, D, which are for the theses, and so many points given A, B, C, D, etc., against the theses. And then after that, a point is taken for the theses, and that is again responded to for the theses A, B, C, D, E, against the theses A, B, C, D, E, and like that B, etc. So the thing is that nothing is treated like whitewashing the truth. Nothing is made to just appear very right. Everything is observed carefully. You look for all the possibilities of right and wrong in it, and discern, be very discerning, be very critical, and then arrive at what is knowledge. This is something which, in fact, even the universities of today do not follow. And today's society, with its concept of marketing this and marketing that, does not follow at all. So there is much to be learnt from the roots of these great universities, which were the Mahaviharas of Buddhism. Anurag.
Well, I only can talk about from the media perspective and the filmmaking perspective, and being the media head of the Indira Gandhi National Center for the Arts, which is a very academic center. Normally what we do, we gave a lot of thought and research and deliberations into filmmaking. What is more important in telling the kind of message the religion normally gives, and over the years that how the technology has been able to give that kind of message through the films. In changing times, especially what I find very, very intriguing, that the today's world is getting so transformed in terms of technological changes. What is more precise and what is more profound, to have a balance between the creativity, well, in terms of the filmmaking, and have the authentic message, or the, let's say, the core message of any religion. And I am finding a little difficult in terms of making the credible film and credible media and dispensation for any spirituality. Recently, we have seen what happened in Kumbh. It has been the plethora of the reels and the plethora of the short films, but have we really been able to convey the kind of message that this sort of congregation normally conveys? I doubt, it's not. So, what is more important to understand to the watcher, the viewers as well as the filmmakers and the media person, to convey that kind of message in this kind of the world where the technology, the AI is changing day by day. And as a filmmaker, as a person, I think, and probably many filmmakers would agree with me, that it is getting difficult to have the credibility. It's not important to just to give a speech, or let's say the kind of academic work, but to convey that message to the audience, to the general people and today's youth. The filmmaking is a very strong medium. And this is a challenge. I personally feel this is a challenge. Though people say that technology is making very, very easier for the filmmaker. But having the emotional connect to the viewer, I find difficult.
Yes, Anurag, you have spoken about something which is so important in the development of media. In fact, I have been making films for more than 40 years now. And I've seen it from the time when it was 35 millimeter film. And we used to edit with our hands and scissors and splicers and all the rest. And you see, you have a very important point. So much effort was called for, so much training was called for, so much time was called for in the process of making the film, that automatically the effort made you put in thought and made you put in high quality. Now, gradually, it's become easier and easier and easier and easier, as you were also mentioning. Animation has become very cheap and very easily available. Everything has become so much available that on the one hand, it seems that everybody can be a filmmaker. Everybody can convey information. But in reality, what happens is that quality of filmmaking has gone down, on an average, immensely. Immensely. And the thought processes which are being put out are not most of the time well considered, thought out. If you had to spend a year making a film, automatically you used to put in a lot of effort into it. Your thought processes were well thought out, considered, there was study behind it. Now sometimes I believe a film can be made in half a day. So you are touching upon something which is very, very important. And this is one of the important things the world has to live with. How to discern, how to create platforms. Maybe this film festival is one such platform. There has to be a discerning quality of films which must reach people. There must be a level of the knowledge which must reach. Because right now you can go on to the internet, you can do a search, and you can in fact get incorrect information. So how do people know what is right and what is wrong? There has to be the creation of levels of information. And there has to be somewhere bodies of media that get together and see that some accuracy is maintained of the dissemination of information. So I think, Anurag, thank you very much. That was something very important you have pointed out. Would you like to comment on it also?
Yes, again, thank you, Anurag. And Professor Saab, you just said, this whole thing of layers of information and how do you sort of, figure out what is truth. And that's such a pertinent point, given that now we are going to all look for the truth on ChatGPT and DeepSeek. So if something is not available, if ChatGPT and DeepSeek have not been fed information, then it is not information, it is not truth any longer, it is not reality, it is not history. So ways in which we have looked at our history will now be challenged because ChatGPT would not have been fed that information. Generations of students will now just go to ChatGPT, not even Wikipedia. Wikipedia was bad enough, Google searches were bad enough, but now it won't even be a search where at least you had the possibility of coming across, a website.
Actually, it's very easy now to blame the ChatGPT, the Google, the internet, or let's say the Wikipedia. I disagree, and I have a reason for this. Artificial intelligence is a kind of a very unbridled horse, full of youth and energy. Only you have to understand how to ride it correctly. And if you know that art, you can somehow to tame it, to move it, and to run it as per your wishes. Efforts are being made by the great IT companies to somehow outdo the human intelligence. But I doubt somehow that in this tussle between the human intelligence and the artificial intelligence, human intelligence will somehow dominate. Only the prompt engineering, only the kind of commands normally you give to the ChatGPT or any other AI tool determine the things. It is up to your intelligence. It is up to your brain. Okay, let me finish, and then if you give them the kind of prompts and the commands and the knowledge, If I am not that intelligence like you, I will definitely give the substandard stuff to the artificial intelligence. And probably I will write the substandard script if there is no ChatGPT. It's all up to the human intelligence, that kind of things that you are putting into the computer, then the results is coming.
Anurag, I'm afraid we'll have to modify that slightly, because what has been found is that artificial intelligence has a way of running away on its own. Because you know the famous example of when a lawyer was asking for some examples to quote before the judge of past orders which have been passed by courts. And the artificial intelligence, in fact, created court orders which were not
AI
there before.
hallucinates.
So the interesting thing is that the artificial intelligence has actually been found to be clever on its own. And clever, not ethical, but clever. Unethical. So the fact is that the challenges which are being faced by modern society have actually become real and pretty huge in this context. So this is something which the world will have to find some ways of dealing with, and it is not going to be easy at all. As a matter of fact, already other things are happening. They have just now produced commercially viable computers, though they're still costing about 35 lakhs each, which use the brain neurons, actual brain neurons, biological cells, along with the chips. So there are a lot of things happening and much that you have to watch out for. But the point is, which your Buddhism subject and films teach you, that there is something which is beyond all this. So get down to that. Get down to what is inside you, the peace that is inside you. That is the psychology, that is the philosophy which Buddhism is all about. And if you go to that, then it will automatically guide your every action. So if I may say in jest, if I may suggest that the ChatGPT or the artificial intelligence should also be given a dose of Buddhism.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Because we all know that AI hallucinates, right? When it doesn't have the answers, it just comes up with its own version of truth. What I wanted to disagree with you on, of course, I completely agree. Your prompts will decide the kind of responses you'll get. But the thing is that AI has been trained on these large language models, right? And if that has not included, for instance, information or knowledge that exists in, say, Hindi or in Sanskrit, right? Or in Pali or in Tibetan, then effectively, AI does not even know that knowledge exists. So, it's like, so unbridled horse yet, yes, but if the horse has been told that, okay, it can only run around IIC compound, then the horse will never know that, oh, there exists a Khan market outside. So that is the reason I'm saying that AI is not that... but the point is that people are relying on AI now. So people are, so young, no, that's fine, but most of us are ignorant. I mean, the whole of mankind is ignorant. That defines our human condition. So young people, are using ChatGPT to write their school thesis and projects or their college projects. So what we're eventually what is going to happen eventually is that young people will have a version of truth which actually has no connection with, the kind of knowledge that we have access to.
Yes, and I think this quite appropriately brings us back to the important thing which we are talking about, which is that it is Buddhism and other spiritual paths, which are much more the true answer. And we must remember that the Buddha himself said, and all great teachers, including His Holiness the Dalai Lama, all say very clearly that it is with a great deal of critical knowledge, but the focus must be an ethical one. One should realize that the aim of life is to get away from the pain of life which comes from the confusion, which comes from the ignorance. And with that, thank you very much, Aparna, thank you very much, Anurag, and thank you all very much. And many thanks to the IBC and to the Foundation for Universal Responsibility for this occasion. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Professor Binoy K. Bahl, Aparna ji and Anurag ji. I will request Secretary General IBC, Shatse Kensur Jangchup Joyden Rinpoche sir, to please come on a stage and felicitate the speakers and the moderator of the session with Kathak and Memento. So this was the last session of the day. Please put your hands together to express our gratitude to Professor Binoy K. Bahl, who is being presented Kathak and a Memento. Ms. Aparna Sanyal. And Mr. Anurag Punetha. So we are concluding the day with this session, but I want to convey to you that tomorrow at 10 a.m. we will start the proceedings of the second day, but not in this hall, but in the seminar hall 1 and 2 of the main building. So please join us and bring others also to witness and be part of this very important film festival, which is the Bodhipath Film Festival. And I will request all of you to please join us over a cup of tea. आप सभी से निवेदन है कि आप जलपान के लिए पधारें और कल के लिए ज़रूर आप यहाँ आएं. Tomorrow we will have the proceedings in Seminar Hall 1 and 2. Thank you very much.